Dzień dobry. Greetings from the Kingdom of Bhutan. In our language, the greeting is Kuzu Zangpola. So with this, Honorable Rector Professor Martha, Honorable Vice Rectors, the Honorable Members of the Senate, faculty, staff, students and ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Professor Martha and everyone for the opening of the academic year. Despite all the hurdles that we as academicians and managers continue to face because of the current pandemic. Congratulations to Professor Martha as well for being elected as the rector of Białystok University of Technology, and also for proudly being the first female rector of the university. I'm sure under your able leadership, the university will continue to soar higher and experience rapid development and benefit all stakeholders of the university. And I would like to thank Professor Martha for giving me this honor to talk to the esteemed participants here today. Being in the education sector, I just wanted to share some of the thoughts with the esteemed members here, and wanted to talk about and would like to talk about education and happiness in the 21st century digital world. Now, most of us here are educationists, managers, students. So I think we really need to understand the purpose of education. What is the purpose of education? The purpose of education, perhaps centuries back, or maybe 3-4 decades back, and the purpose of education now might slightly differ. So we really need to understand the main purpose of education, or the formal education. Now, most of us, especially our young colleagues, when we go to colleges, we have aims in our lives. Some might say that I want to become a doctor, some might say I want to become an engineer, pilot, some might want to become professors. For what? For example, if you become an engineer, for what? Maybe to make things, bring innovation, earn money, earn respect. But eventually, the genuine objective is what? As human beings, I think the genuine objective of taking up professions, any profession, is to be happy and prosperous as a human being. Whether you become engineer, whether you become a doctor, whether you are a farmer, whether you are a politician, at the end of the day, as human beings, our ultimate goal is to be happy and prosperous. So if that is the ultimate goal of a human being, then the education that we provide should help human beings achieve this goal of being happy and prosperous. Now, if that is so, education should enable this conducive environment for people to achieve happiness. In schools, whether it is in Bhutan, whether it is in Poland, or any part of the world, we teach a lot about materialism. We teach a lot about, in biology, we teach a lot about our human body, the number of bones that we have, the functions of each organs, which is physical. But is there any module or a subject that teaches about being happy? The love and care for another human being. The ultimate aim and objective of individuals, human beings as human beings to achieve happiness. I think those are missing from our mainstream education. So if our ultimate aim of a human being is to be happy and achieve happiness, I think as educational institution, we should enable this or facilitate this to our learners. But then, when we say happiness, at the end of the day, the happiness is being in harmony or living in harmony at 4 levels of our being as human beings. The first level is us as individuals. So living in harmony as an individual. Number two, the second level is living in harmony as a family, as friends, living in harmony in a society. And then we must understand that we are a very small unit in this Mother Earth. So in that case, we should be living in harmony with the entire existence, the nature. So living in harmony at all these four levels of our being as a human being ultimately leads to happiness. So if that is the objective of every human being, then are the educational institutions doing enough? Are we enabling this, a conducive environment? Are we facilitating this to our young learners? Now, most of us, we perhaps understand that the core focus of education system is to impart knowledge and skills, knowledge transfer and skills. But that's not enough. We also must, along with knowledge and skills, inculcate good attitude, a sound character building. So our focus should not be limited only at transferring knowledge and skills, but also inculcating good attitude, character in our students, in our learners. And our beloved His Majesty the King, when he visited one of our sister colleges, which is an education college, His Majesty said that as teachers, we cannot give what we do not have. If we don't have knowledge and skills, we cannot impart it to our students. If we as teachers, if we do not have attitude and character, we cannot inculcate this and give it to our students. So if that is the case, then at this present moment in the educational institutions, where is the focus more? Is it in the transfer of knowledge and skills only, or are we also focusing on attitude and character? Where is it more? I think we must make sure that we have all these four components in our education system. Then, what is the impact of education? As I understand, knowledge and skills should be accompanied by attitude, character, and compassion. And a person with knowledge, skills, a knowledgeable, skilled person with attitude, character, and compassion, it will lead to the well-being of mankind. It will lead to harmony. It will lead to happiness. On the other hand, if an individual just knowledge and skills but devoid, without attitude, character, and passion, but very knowledgeable and very skilled, it may perhaps lead to destruction of mankind, disharmony, corruption, and unhappiness. So this attitude, character, and compassion is very, very vital even in today's education system if we are to achieve happiness. In the Royal University of Bhutan, our motto is GNH Inspired Education. Now, what is this GNH? GNH is Gross National Happiness. This is a very unique development philosophy. All credit goes to our fourth king, His Majesty the King Jigme Namgyel, who said that for a nation, the gross national happiness is more important than the gross development product, GDP. Now this GNH gives a balance between materialistic and the spiritual well-being, and this is also a major measurement index of our nation's socio-economic development success. Just to introduce a little bit of what is this GNH, gross national happiness. The gross national happiness is all based on the four pillars of the four pillars And we call this the 4 pillars of gross national happiness. The first one is sustainable and equitable socio-economic development. As the first pillar of the development philosophy in the country. The second is environmental conservation. Third one, the preservation and promotion of culture. And the fourth one, which is very vital, is good governance. In any nation, for development, for people to be happy, one of the most important component is good governance. So these 4 are the pillars of the gross national happiness. And these pillars of gross national happiness, again, later on, if we really go in depth into the gross national happiness, there are 9 domains. And out of these 9 domains, education is one of the domain. The number fourth domain of the gross national happiness is education, and that's what we are talking about. Now, in the Royal University of Bhutan, the overall rationale is dissemination of knowledge and the advancement of learning through a balanced, well-regulated and sound tertiary education system for the economic and cultural development of the Kingdom of Bhutan, and to promote the cultural enrichment, personal development and well-being of our people. Even the vision of the Royal University of Bhutan is an internationally recognized university steeped in gross national happiness, GNH values. So that's what we strive for. Again, I would like to clarify that this GNH is a development philosophy, and we are working hard towards this achieving this goal. Now, as a university, when our students graduate, I feel that our graduates must have all these components of gross national happiness. So we call this the characteristics of a GNH educated graduate. And this GNH educated graduate, this is something that I've taken from the sources given there by Hayward and Ron Coleman. So the GNH educated graduate has 5 contexts. A graduate with the values of gross national happiness must have the 5 contexts. The first is called the self context, where it's all focused on the self. The person, the individual or the graduate has to be resourceful, very creative, confident, reflective, upright, and also very compassionate, as I mentioned earlier in my talk. The second context is family context. In the interest of time, I'll not go one by one, but just be very brief about this. Maybe later, if you have questions, then maybe we can discuss. Otherwise, I'll just touch on the important points. So, number 2 context is the family context, where we must understand that the best school is the family. The best attitude, character building happens within the family. And we must understand that in family, we have this unconditional love. And that as a family, we have our responsibilities. As a father, as a mother, as a son, as a brother, as a sister, we have our own responsibility towards our family. Respect, appreciation, and gratitude for the indigenous value system in the family. And also help our family make informed decisions. And then we always must have this high sense of gratitude. Number 3rd context is the community context. We don't live by ourselves. We live in a community. So we must engage with the community. We must be ready to help the community and support the community. We must provide our service at any point of time to the community as a graduate, as knowledgeable persons, as skilled persons. The 4th context is the citizenship context. We are a citizen of a nation. We must have this, our love and care for the country. We must understand. We must be honest and resistant to corruption in the nation. We must be resourceful to the country. And not only that, we must be global citizens. We really must understand what's going around, what is right, what is not right. The Fifth context is the workplace context. Now as a graduate, we will, whether you are a doctor, whether you are an engineer, with a professional qualification, you will go and start working in an organization. So we must have this workplace context. And the workplace context is choosing the right livelihood and ethical work practices. And I would again like to emphasize on this ethical work practices. Practice the right attitude, the right conduct, and also as a graduate be an inspirational role model. And overall, take ownership if you're working in an organization. So these are the 5 contexts of a graduate, from a university with the values of the gross national happiness. If we are to achieve the harmony, if we are to achieve happiness. Now, because we have esteemed professors here, managers, even as students, I think these are some points that I have put down for us to explore and see whether this really makes sense or not. So number 1, should universities prioritize revenue generation over students' learning and well-being? Should we put this as our key performance indicators? Should we really focus on the revenue generation over students' learning? Number 2, should paper publications be prioritized over community support? Is there a weightage given to the service that you provide to the community, or are we giving more weightage to paper publications? Should the focus be more on the impact factors of papers published for the promotion of a faculty member rather than his or her service to the community and to the university or the organization? Should you prioritize the impact factors? And then there are many agencies or organizations that keeps talking about university ranking. University ranking on what context? Is it based on the students' well-being? Or what is this based on? Is it based on just the research works? Because at the end of the day, it's all about happiness. And there are universities, in order to attract students, more students in the university, they advertise saying that the graduates from the university will get 100% employment. Is our focus more on the employment? Isn't our focus on the character building? If a student is imparted the right knowledge, the right skills, the right character, the right attitude with compassion, I think such a student or such graduate will automatically get good job. I think this is what I see with the experiences that I have. And so in this digital world, I'm sure the elderly esteemed members here would understand that now it is the 21st digital century. Even during this unprecedented trying times because of the COVID pandemic, we see that most of our professional work, our education, learning and teaching has become all online. Our younger generation are more fluent with the digital devices. They spend more time with computers than in the field, in the farm, or physical training. And so I think we need to really see as education is, as universities, way to put our focus in this 21st century digital world. So I think it's time for us as education is, as universities, to rethink and re-engineer education. So that's something I wanted to put forth to our esteemed participants here. I'm not sure whether I've been able to contribute a little bit of thought process in terms of what the functions of the universities and educational institutes should be in order to develop and build the future citizens in the world. I can be contacted at my email is given there. That's a personal email, but if there are questions, I'll be standing by. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. If you have anything to ask, perhaps maybe there will be a time, a question answer session. Otherwise, to Honorable Rector Professor Martha and everyone else, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be one of the participants in this important event today. And with all sincerity, I really like to wish Professor Martha and the entire team all the best, and especially to our younger students, our students, all the best, and become better human beings, and all the best in your career. Thank you so much.